Hey guys, welcome to another video here on my channel. If you don't know me, I'm Ana Palatero. I'm an artist slash illustrator, and today I'll show you a children's book illustration I did with gel printing. So I had this request for making a children's book illustration for Ajudares, which is a Portuguese organization that you probably heard me talk about in some of my videos. They make these beautiful children's books filled with different stories written by kids, and they ask professional illustrators to illustrate them. And I've been working with them for the past, 10 years or more. I lost count, really. I love making part of this project, and I work with them every year. In here I show you some of the illustrations that I made for them over the years. And I'm gonna bring you along with me all through the process of this illustration. So this illustration that you're about to see was from last year's book called Histórias de Ajudares 23. I made 2 illustrations for them, in fact, but I'll show you them one at a time. And this one was about a story that talked about peace on earth. And in fact, the title of the story is Peace, in Portuguese, Paz. I read the story and thought about the concept that I wanted for this illustration, having in mind that I wanted to use my gel plate and I wasn't really totally familiar with the process that I had to go through to work with it. As you saw in my last video, I was just beginning experimenting with my gel plate, and I really wanted to experiment with it some more. But I got to a sketch, and I wanted the sky with birds, probably doves, meaning peace, and a lot of people joined together holding hands in a round environment, meaning the earth. So for my gel plate, I decided to create some stencils. I don't know if you did this as a child, but I did. I don't know if it was in school or my mother who taught me how to do this thing. You just fold the paper over and over and over again, and you draw half a figure on each side. Then you cut it, and it's like all the figures are holding hands. I think it's really cute. So I wanted to use that in this illustration as a stencil. It didn't get perfectly done, and in fact I wanted to embrace that because I wanted it to show that it was done by hand. And since it is an illustration for a children's book, I always want my illustrations to show that a kid could do it. I want that when children look at my illustrations can feel that they can do it, because I don't want them to feel as I did when I was little and looked at those perfect illustrations on the books and felt like I would never draw like that. You don't have to draw perfectly to make beautiful illustrations, although you can also draw perfect and make beautiful illustrations. But if you can't, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. So I wanted to embrace that pretty not perfect kind of drawing handmade feeling to it, because that's really what I want to tell kids who are looking at my illustrations. Have fun with it. Embrace the fun within the process. For sure, whoever looks at that will feel that fun, that happiness, and that's what matters. That's really the most important thing. It's to send a message, to make them feel the message that it's meant to send, within it. And here the message is peace, and with peace comes happiness. So that's what I wanted to say with this illustration. I wanted happy colors and all these people holding hands in a joyful way. And what better to show that joy than making them with this process that is kind of magical for children, just folding the paper, cutting it up, and boom, you've got this bunch of people holding hands. So that's what I did. I cut the birds also so I could have that kind of stencil that I was telling you about. Then I placed them carefully over my gel plate and I started adding some color. It was my first time doing this, and as you will see, there are some mistakes happening. One of the birds got stuck to my briar. Oh my god, I got a bird in here. And got off the plate, so it virtually disappeared from the picture. Maybe I should have used the inverse stencil, the negative shapes in that, but I wanted my birds to remain white against the blue sky. So, well, that's what I thought it would work. And in the end it did. I'm really happy with the results you'll see in the end. So I carefully removed all the paper from my plate. And then remove the people from the ground of my stencil, because I wanted to reuse it. Of course, here you see me doing all this process at once, but I had to wait in the middle of this process because I had to let the paint dry. Here you see me sketching out where my next forms would go, because I would make some more details in stencil. I wanted a sun in my sky and to add different colors to my illustration. So each different color is a different stencil. Again, in this process, I also made some mistakes. I was learning while I was doing it, so some things I didn't figure out right at the first approach. Like this, for instance, I put the charcoal on the wrong side of the paper. I was meaning to turn it over and get the printing of it on a piece of paper so I could cut it and have my stencil. But being on the wrong side, I had to redo that. But that's no biggie. I mean, I figured it out while I was doing it so I could correct it. So I had that first mask, which was the ground, and I did another one bigger to go over the people and a bit of the sky, because I figured probably this yellow over the blue would become green, and that would be perfect for my environment around the people, you know. Then I mixed another bluish green to paint the ground. Well, my color palette is another thing. As you saw in my sketch, I started with very simple colors, primary colors. But while I was painting it, I wanted these colors to become more cohesive. So this green that you're seeing is kind of that blue with that yellow mixed together, probably with a little more of a dark blue or something to make it darker. But I wanted to mix the two colors to limit my color palette, and I think it gives a good look to it. So then, after everything is really dry, I laid a coat of white paint over it. Let's see if this works. And finally placed the paper where I want to print it. I rubbed it all very well to make sure every bit of paper was making perfect contact with the plate. I knew that I had to wait probably a while to get those layers of paint to fuse together, so they could all show in the final print. Oh my god, this paper. I don't know if this paper is good enough. Let's see. Nope. Not yet. Let it dry. Let's let it all dry. I guess I'll have it dried. Let me see how this looks on the other side. Looks so pretty. I hope I can get this to transfer to my paper. Okay, let's let it rest. Maybe put a big book over it. I have this big dictionary. Let me see. And maybe I'll just let it rest overnight or something like that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna clean my brayer. I didn't let it rest overnight. It's just been about 10 or 15 minutes. I was just cleaning my brayer and I decided to try it, and I think it's coming up just fine. So I'm gonna try and peel it off right now. Oops. Oh my god, it's coming up just great. Well, almost great. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm just loving it. Look, the textures are just awesome. Oops. It's tearing here. I'm gonna come from the other side now. It's looking great so far. Yeah, that didn't come up right because the paper had a wrinkle there, but I think it's okay. Look at this, it's awesome. The colors are amazing, but nevertheless I wanna scan it and touch this yellow because I want it to be bright yellow. I'm gonna maybe repair this and maybe a touch here and there. I want to add some flowers here, but I'm pretty happy. I built all the layers on the jelly plate, and then in the end I gave it a white wash all over, and then finally I added my paper, pressed it, let it all dry to really stick all the layers together, and then I pulled it off, and I'm really happy with this. But that's it for now. That's my time for today, so I'll show you then what I'll do with it digitally. Yeah, time to scan. You see 2 papers in there because those are my 2 illustrations for this Ajudares project. I'll show you the other one in another video. Otherwise, this would be a giant video. So I'll take this opportunity to invite you already for my next video if you like this one, because on my next illustration, this process will be totally different and will get a bit crazy, let me tell you, because that's what I do. When I think that I get some kind of clue on something, I tend to overcomplicate that right away. And sometimes things don't go just according to the plan, you know, and well, crazy things happened, and that's what you're about to see in my next video, if you care to come along with me. So be sure to be subscribed to this channel so you won't miss it. Okay, now putting that aside, let's talk about this one. As you could see, there were some bits of imperfection here and there, which I told you I would embrace it, and I would have, really, but somehow I always want to polish a little bit the illustrations also. I'm a bit of a control freak sometimes. And although I'm working on it, letting it go, I just can't really let go of all the details just yet. So in here I can see some bits that have to be retouched. First I played with the colors, I think you noticed, just to see if I wanted them as they were showing on the screen, because they are a little bit different from the real illustration. The real version of it, it's much brighter. And then I went for those retouches that I was telling you about. These little places where I had the green paint over the blue and the yellow. Because as you noticed, this process is all about layering paint. And the first layers that you put in on your gel plate are the ones that are coming up on top of your print. So I had this light blue showing over the green on the ground, and I didn't want that. So I retouched it all a little bit. Then I was messing around with the color of the ground because I wasn't sure about that green. Although I loved it, somehow I was having some questions about it, so I changed it a little bit and added the flowers that you don't see me doing here, but it's all digital. I signed it also digitally, and there you go. There you can see some of the details, the textures that I got and that I love so much. So this is it. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye bye.